Hey everybody, welcome to Astronomy with Josh. There's an ice storm moving through outside, so it's definitely a sit by the fire and have a cup of tea and talk about astronomy kind of evening. And I got to thinking, I have this new project I call the 24-hour Observatory. I'm going to read you something. And this is a new way to participate in the sky. Maybe you're not crazy like me. Maybe you don't go out in the middle of a field in the middle of the winter and freeze half to death. Maybe you're blind. Maybe you just want to get a good night's sleep. So I've cooked up something and I've got a little something to read you. Let me know what you think. We're trying to hammer this out and see what we can do with it. Hope you enjoy it. Check this. The 24-Hour Observatory, the pilot project. Night 1, Orientation. Many a lonely night I have cast a line into the unfathomable depths, hooking ancient starlight and reeling it back to Earth. The owls were my only companions as I marveled at the beauty, a lonely fisherman on the banks of infinity. My name is Josh, and I'm both a bit of a poet and an astronomy nerd. I thought it would be fun to bring this ancient starlight back to Earth for the rest of us. The pursuit of photons, those little packets of light, often requires specialized equipment, dedication bordering on obsession, willingness to forego sleep and warmth, and of course, excellent eyesight. If you find yourself in the category of the sane, blind, or a fan of creature comforts, this series is for you. Leave the frosty nights outside to me, where I'll collect that starlight in form of written observations, weave it with mythology, science, history, and present it here. The grandeur of our universe can be explored in a multitude of dimensions, be it visually, theoretically, or simply enjoyed poetically. Together, we'll explore those great depths, marvel at what lurks, and ponder the vast. One last note about seeing and addressing qualms about astronomy without an observable sky. I've stared at infinity countless times, not really seeing it. Observing without seeing, you might say. Harnessing the power of interpretation, detailed and descriptive writing, and your own mind's eye will flip the script and see without observing. Buckle up! We've got light years to go. Night 2. The 24-Hour Observatory. A tour of the Foundry, visiting the Orion Nebula. There's nothing quite so soothing as the sound of hot water gurgling into a mug of chamomile tea, while the wood stove takes a deep breath and starts gnawing on a batch of seasoned oak. The antique clock chimes midnight. I should be sleeping, but my fingers, slow to type and slow to thaw, must bring you the account of the latest wander across infinity. This certainty burns like Sirius, the dog star, who's just trotted out from behind a tall pine. I describe his brilliant blue blaze, akin to the voice of a young man arguing for what is right. Welcome back to the 24-Hour Observatory. The telescope has been outside for hours. The big primary mirror cooling to ambient temperature for optimum performance. Our spaceship for this evening is a 12.5-inch Newtonian reflector. Feel the cold hit your face, closing in with the seriousness of a pile of bills on Monday morning. Squeak! Groans the scope as it points towards Orion the Hunter, shining with a certainty matching the frost. Our destination lurks at a distance of roughly 1,500 light years. And remember, 1 light year is almost 6 trillion miles, 5.88 to be exact. As we lean into the eyepiece, prepare to gasp. Immense swirling clouds of glowing hydrogen, enough to power a multitude of stars for billions of years, stretches almost 70 trillion miles across this local patch of space. This is a star factory, forging thermonuclear furnaces in the blackness a foundry by the heavenly docks. Sprinkled among the wisps and tangles of the billowing hydrogen are stars born of the massive cloud, twinkling and waving hello. Their light started out when the foundations of grammar were emerging in the Byzantine Empire. It's this light that energizes the hydrogen to glow pink in long exposure photographs. For backyard astronomers like us, though, the nebula appears mostly monochromatic. Although tonight we can detect beautifully subtle hues of reds, greens, and blues, along with dark knots of nebulosity. In addition to the emission nebula, dust reflects the light of the stars, appearing blue, or blocks it, appearing inky against deep space. The incense burning on my desk throws up smoke that twists in similar fashion. The Orion Nebula resembles a clamshell, or perhaps a stout oyster, with the thicker parts of the cloud forming the rim of a giant space shell. The pearl of this colossus is a group of stars huddled closely together, a trapezoidal quartet at first glance, becoming 6 with a good scope and more with a pro. This is the trapezium, stellar siblings, children of this cloud. It's a favorite target of amateur astronomers looking to test the resolution of small telescopes. Yup, saw the E and F star. You might hear a proud scope owner brag if they're able to split it into 6 components. Lucky for us, tonight our telescope shows 6 as well. Many variable stars lie embedded in this glorious jungle, the young sun's changing brightness like teenagers going through phases. The sight is obviously soundless, but the twisting, snaking tendrils of hydrogen and potential would demand a cinematic score if there were music in space. The Mayans spied this nebula with the unaided eye. It glows as a bright fuzzy patch under dark skies, and thought it to be the cosmic fire of creation, according to NASA. They weren't wrong. Brrr. Time to go inside and warm up by the hearth. Brush the ancient photons off your coat and have a cup of tea. How pleasant Earth can be, and how exhilarating it is to imagine the mighty hunter trekking across the midnight heavens as we drift off to sleep, warmed by the stove and seasoned oak. Way out in the deep, stars are being forged.